You've probably decided, somewhere quiet, that you're just bad at this, that other people got issued some discipline gene you missed, that they wake up at 6 a.m. and want the gym, and you're the broken one refreshing the same 3 apps in bed. I want to show you the exact moment that belief formed, and why it's wrong. Because here's the strange part. I can predict how your last habit died. I don't know your name. I don't know the habit. Doesn't matter. Every dead habit dies the same 4 ways, and by minute 8, I'm going to walk your specific failure through all 4 live. An autopsy, with you on the table, but gently. Stay with me, because the thing you've been calling a character flaw for years, it's a design flaw, and design flaws get fixed. Let's just say it out loud. The thing you don't post about. You bought the planner. You did the 75-day thing for 11 days. You had the perfect Monday, the one where you're finally becoming the person, and by Thursday, it was gone, and you didn't even notice it leaving. That's the part that stings, not the failing, the not noticing. And somewhere in there, you signed a verdict against yourself. Guilty, lazy, inconsistent. I always do this. I need you to understand how expensive that verdict is. Because once you believe the problem is you, every solution has to also be you. More willpower, more shame, more Monday. And you only have so many Mondays before you stop showing up for your own life. So we're going to fire that jury, but not with a pep talk. I don't do those here. We're going to fire it with evidence, starting with a company you use every single day. Google, around 2012, New York office. They had a problem. Free snacks everywhere, and everyone gaining the Google 15. Now, Google employees are not lazy. These are some of the most disciplined, high-performing people on the planet. If willpower were the variable, they'd have been fine. They were not fine. So Google ran an experiment they called Project M&M. They didn't send a memo about discipline. They didn't post inspirational quotes in the kitchen. They changed the room. They took the M&Ms out of the clear glass jars and put them in opaque containers, out of sight. They moved the candy a little further away, and they put bottled water down at eye level, front and center, with the soda pushed to the bottom shelf. In the New York office alone, that one change cut M&M calories by millions in a matter of weeks. Same people, same willpower, different room. Sit with that. The most talented engineers in the world couldn't out-discipline a glass jar at arm's reach. And the moment the environment changed, the behavior changed, without anyone trying. That's the lie sitting underneath all your Mondays, the belief that you are the variable. You're not. The environment is the variable, and you've been fighting it with the one tool that runs out fastest, your own willpower, at the exact hour of day it's lowest. Tesla figured this out with drivers. They don't send you a notification begging you to brake efficiently to save the battery. They built one pedal driving, so the efficient thing is just what happens when you lift your foot. The default does the work. Nobody's relying on you to remember. So if it's not you, if it's the room, then the room can be read, diagnosed. And every dead habit, it turns out, has the same 4 fracture points. Let me show you where the bodies are buried.
Every habit that ever died on you failed at one of 4 places. Not 5, 4. I've watched this hold up over and over. 1. The cue. Is your trigger visible and unavoidable, or is it hiding? Your habit needs something in the physical world that says now. Duolingo built an entire company on this. That owl isn't charming, it's a cue engine. The streak counter, the notification, the little flame, they made the trigger impossible to ignore, and they made breaking it feel like loss. Your journaling habit died because the journal was in a drawer. No cue, no now. It never stood a chance. 2. The distance. How many steps between you and starting? Amazon studied this to the dollar. In 1999, they patented one-click ordering. One button, no cart, no forms. Why fight for a single click? Because they knew every extra step between wanting and doing leaks people out the side. Your habit has a step count too. Gym clothes in the wash, in the other room, behind a decision. That's not one habit, that's 6 little steps, and you quit at step 3 every time. Not because you're weak, because the distance was too long. 3. The default. What happens if you do nothing? This is the big one.
Netflix understood that the most powerful force in human behavior is inertia, so they built post-play. The next episode just starts. You didn't choose to keep watching, you'd have had to choose to stop. Spotify does the same the second your playlist ends. It just keeps the music going. Now flip it. When you do nothing at 6 a.m., what's the default? The bed, the phone, the scroll. Your environment is running a post-play. It's just autoplaying the wrong episode of your life. And 4, the reset. When you miss once, and you will, how hard is it to get back? This is where most habits actually die. Not on the miss, on the spiral after the miss. Duolingo saw this coming and built the streak freeze. Miss a day, the streak survives. You're not starting from zero. Toyota builds it into the factory floor with something called the andon cord. Any worker can stop the whole line the instant something's wrong. Fix it, restart. No shame, no blame, no waiting for permission. A frictionless reset. Your habit had none. You missed Tuesday and there was no cord to pull, so the whole line just stayed stopped. Cue, distance, default, reset. That's the whole map. And now I'm going to do the thing I promised in the first 60 seconds.
Here's the autopsy, and I want you to pick a real one. The habit you're a little embarrassed about. The gym, the reading, the 6 a.m. wake up. Hold it in your mind. Let's run the classic. You wanted to work out in the mornings. You lasted 11 days. Here's what actually killed it. And notice, none of it is about you. Cue. Your alarm went off and your phone was right there. So the first cue of your day wasn't the gym, it was the notifications. The gym had no cue. Time of death, 6:02 a.m. Distance. Clothes weren't out. Shoes downstairs. Water not filled. Between you and the first rep were 9 steps, and every one of them was a tiny doorway for the bed to win. Default. Do nothing. And the default was warm. The bed had post-play. The gym required you to override inertia with raw willpower at the lowest willpower moment of the entire day. You were playing the game on the hardest difficulty and blaming your thumbs. And the reset? You missed one Wednesday. Kid was up all night, whatever it was, and there was no streak freeze. So Wednesday's miss became Thursday's, I've already ruined it. And by the weekend, the identity flipped back to, I always do this. The habit didn't die on Wednesday. It died in the story you told yourself on Thursday. 4 fracture points, 4 environmental failures. Look at that list again and try, genuinely try, to find the part that's a character flaw. It's not there. It was never there.
So here's the reframe, and it's the whole channel in one line. You don't need more discipline. You need a shorter distance to the thing you already want to do. Apple gets this in a way most people never notice. Walk into an Apple store and every laptop screen is tilted slightly too far back, reportedly just past the ideal viewing angle. Why? So that to see it properly, you have to reach out and touch it. One small adjustment and now your hands are on it, and now it's a little bit yours. They didn't motivate you. They engineered 1 degree of friction in the direction they wanted you to go. Starbucks did it with mobile order. Pay before you arrive, skip the line, the purchase already done before the craving even fully forms. Microsoft did it the quiet way with autosave. You never remember to save anymore, so you never lose the work. The default just protects you now. Every one of these companies made the same bet. Don't fix the human, fix the 5 feet around the human. So tonight, not tomorrow, not Monday, you run the audit. Take that one habit and interrogate the room, not yourself. 4 questions. Q. What physical object in a place I cannot avoid will say now? Lay the shoes in the doorway. Put the book on the pillow. Distance. What are the actual steps and which 2 can I delete tonight? Fill the water bottle now. Set the clothes out now. Turn 9 steps into 3. Default. What happens if I do nothing, and how do I flip it so doing nothing moves me toward the habit? Sleep in the gym shirt. Put the phone in the other room so the default at 6 a.m. is up, not scroll. And the reset. Decide right now, while it's easy, what your streak freeze is. If I miss a day, I do the 2-minute version the next day. No 0 days. I pull the cord and restart the line. Decide it before you need it, because you will not have the wisdom for it mid-spiral. That's the 4-point friction audit. Cue, distance, default, reset. Save this. You'll want to run it on the next habit and the one after that, because it works on all of them.
And here's the line I'll probably get argued with in the comments, so come argue. Most people don't actually have a discipline problem. They have a distance problem, and they've been treating a design flaw with shame for years. If you think I've got that backwards, tell me. I read those. Because remember where we started. You'd quietly decided you were just bad at this, that you missed the discipline gene. But you just watched your own failure get autopsied, and the cause of death was never you. It was a jar left at arm's reach, a journal in a drawer, 9 steps where there should have been 3.
A bed running post-play at 6 a.m. Your habits didn't fail because you're broken. They failed because the room was designed against you. And rooms get redesigned. Fire the jury, run the audit tonight. And if this is how you want to think from now on, habits as engineering, not willpower, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.